Season in the books. So for one last time this season, joining us from the Evergreen Park Mustang football team, Coach Jim Ramazinski. Coach Ram, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Listen, David versus Goliath, is that because generally Goliath wins, and that's what happened this past weekend to finish out the season against Shepherd, correct?
Yeah.
Or Richards. It was Richards.
It was Richards, yeah. Tough loss against Richards at the end of the year. Ended the season 4-5. Started strong, had a mid-season slump that kind of did us in for the end of the season. Obviously we wish we could have done a little bit better throughout the season, and we're looking forward to continuing to work in our off season and get ourselves prepared for next year.
All right, so there's no reason to dive into that. Basically, you can look back now at the season, see 4-5. From what I understand, we had kind of talked about in the last show, there's such a thing as playoff points, and there's a possibility that even a 4-5 team can get in. You guys were actually very close based upon your strength of schedule. You weren't like the first team that missed the cut, but you were pretty close to actually still making it in the postseason, right?
Yeah, there was a few moments on Saturday where I wasn't sure if we were going to get in or not. Thought that there was definitely a possibility. Some things had to go right on Saturday for us, but they ended up not. But we were close. I mean, our schedule this year, we had a lot of teams that got a lot of wins. 6 of the teams we played made the playoffs. One of the other teams that we played was 4-5. So we had a lot of playoff points, and kind of gave us a chance, even at a 4-5 record, to get in.
It shows you played a very tough schedule, so it's not like I think positively about this season looking back at it, because I'm every week sitting down with you and I'm seeing not only progress in a lot of ways, but some of the losses sometimes were because of injury, or they were very close games. And so overall, as you look back on your year, what do you take from it? I know you have some guys that had pretty good seasons, and overall, this was the end of your, I think, third year with the Mustangs. I know that you've mentioned a couple times on the show that at least now it's becoming more your system, more like the Coach Ram way, which you can carry in the next year.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there was a lot of growth this year. We had a lot of young guys out there on varsity who, sometimes when you're a young player on varsity, you're going to take some lumps, and they did, but they also responded well. And, I truly feel like we put our guys in a really good position to win a lot of games. They gave good efforts, and, just didn't come up the way we wanted to a few of those weeks on those close games. And that's what we talk about, the little things with our guys. That's the difference between, making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. And but I mean, we had some good individual efforts this season, along with our total team effort. Amarion Evans ended up being an all-conference player for us.
Oh, good for him.
Dominic Nava, an all-conference player for us, our offensive line tackle. Garrett Kazmirowicz, who played defensive end for us, had to step in at running back a game or two for us to help out, played offense for us. He was an all-conference player. And then Gavin Wheeler, junior linebacker, also got some carries on offense, ended up being all-conference. And Alberto Aranda was honorable mention, all-conference, had a great year at defensive end for us.
Four all-conference and an honorable mention for all-conference. I mean, you got some kids there that played pretty well this year.
Yeah. So that was good, and they were really excited when they find out the news. And again, a lot of young guys out there looking to build. Our Frost Soft team had a pretty solid season. They were 7-2.
That's a good season. And we've talked about that before. Like you have a young group that played very well at that level, and that does translate later on when they get older to a varsity level, because there's times we talk about opponents on this show, and you'll tell me, you'll be like, well, they've got some of the kids that were in that Frost Soft that have now moved up to their varsity. So they're a different team because they've got some pretty good players that have kind of been injected onto their varsity team. You're going to get that next year. Yeah,
this was one of the stronger Frost Soft teams in the past, definitely few seasons, which is good. They stuck together. They had good numbers down there. We had pretty good numbers for us on varsity this year. So we're hoping that trend continues. And young guys, they just got to stick together. understand it's a 4-year process to be really, really good at football and keep working hard.
So what do you do this offseason? Do you follow around those guys and make sure they bulk up so they're bigger for next year because they're younger? Do you go scout a lot of grammar school football? I know that locally, Redeemer has their JV and their varsity playing in the championship this weekend. So, like, do you go to games like that because you're going to scout some talent?
A lot of myself, some of my coaches will be. We're always out and about. But our off season, we will continue to do that process of checking out youth games, doing things like that. I mean, that's pretty much over at this point this week, and I know the Stallions are still playing this week.
Okay, yeah, so they're playing too. That's another one you got to go check out.
And Redeemer's still playing this week for the championship, so it should be a good weekend for youth programs, but. We pretty much, football wise, at the high school, we'll see basically who's in what winter sports. We got a lot of kids who wrestle, a lot of kids who play basketball. Everybody else who's not in, they'll be working out daily after school and continuing to work on their bodies and get physically stronger, mentally stronger, and roll into the next season ready to go.
As a coach of a football team, in which, of course, and there's nothing wrong with this. I would think a coach of any type of sport, especially in a high school or a college, the number one thing for you is your program, your team, football team, right? Do you find it to be beneficial that they're playing additional sports because it keeps them in that athletic mindset? Or do you sometimes wish that they were full-time just football players? Where's your mentality on that?
Well, we're a small school.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of multi-sport athletes, which is what we encourage at the high school. Wrestling is going to prepare you quite a bit for football with the physicality, the mental kind of grind that wrestling is. Basketball, of course, guys are moving around, staying active, staying physically fit. So yeah, we're happy for that. And then the guys who are not playing a sport, they'll be with us, and then that process restarts for spring sports. Who's playing a spring sport, who's not, and then continue it going. But yeah, we typically will be working out 4 days a week, and then as the season gets a little bit closer, we throw some morning workouts in there as well. So it's a pretty big off-season commitment, but we did a good job with it last year. The kids showed up, they worked hard, and again, if they continue to do that, they'll see the results on the field.
For what I do with my podcast network, with my shows, when I did morning radio, when I would have a big event, or if let's say it was just the end of a very long week or something like that, and I poured everything into it, I could not stop myself the moment that it was done to immediately start planning for the next thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So is that what happened to you? Is that what's going on right now? The season's come to an end and you're immediately thinking, this is what I want to do for the off season. This is my plan for next year. And what are you thinking?
I mean, a head varsity football coach at a high school is a 12-month-a-year job. That's the reality of it. You have to be, the guys get a little time off, a couple weeks off, kind of, rest, decide what's going on for their winters, if they're playing sports or trying out, or and then we just get back into it. Like, the coaches have already met to talk about some things for next year, and we have our awards night coming up in a week and a half or so, and you kind of close the book after awards night on this season officially, and then you move towards next season, which is again, you got to start planning and start getting guys organized and getting them in the weight room.
When I have people ask me all the time, do you listen to other podcasts, or when I was on the radio, do you listen to other radio shows? I always feel bad when I have to tell somebody, oh yeah, you got a great show. I don't listen to anybody because I don't want to ever sound like them. I want to do my thing. Are you similar to that, or are you going to watch a lot of football now? Are you going to watch the IHSA playoffs? Are you going to want to try to see, is there something else that I may want to throw into my game, or do you stay away from it?
No, we're always watching football. I mean, no, I'll watch the playoff games. That I'll catch what I can, and check out a lot of teams that either I have connections with their coaches or whatever. I follow a lot of those teams. Obviously, I'll be following our conference, rooting for our conference in the playoffs. And yeah, no, I mean, I don't watch as much like college football and NFL football during our season just because there's not a lot of time. But I'll pick up some more.
You start getting into the Bears a little bit more now.
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah.
All right, well, before I let you go, are there any predictions? Are there any teams that you see in the postseason right now for IHSA that either you've played or that you've heard about or you've seen film on or you've heard buzz about that you think are going to go deep into this thing? Because you have run into several of these teams. Like you just said, your strength of schedule was really tough this year. That's why you had so many playoff points. So you've seen some of these teams, you've scouted some of these teams, your fingers on the pulse. Is there anybody that you're sitting there saying that team's got a chance?
Well, I mean, Richards, I think, always has a chance. They're 7A this year. They've ran into East St. Louis the past few years. They won't see them this year. The 7A is also a tough field, but they can definitely do, always have a chance to get downstate and make some noise. But, all our conference teams, Revis's defense was really good this year. They're starting off against Lincoln Way Central. That should be a good matchup. Oak Lawn had a great season. So we'll see how they go. And like I said, Ag, they're in line to do well.
I remember you have a very friendly relationship with the coach over at the Ag school. Like
yes.
It was like the first thing, like you guys coached together or something like that. I have to think back 2 months, but I want to say that.
We've known each other since high school. So rooting for that program. But no, I mean, it should be a great, exciting playoff run. I obviously wish we were a part of it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss you this offseason.
Yes.
And before we get out of here, talk about your seniors a little bit, because I know that's got to be tough for a coach. You spend 4 years with these kids. You probably recruit them for a couple years before that. You build these relationships. They're going off now to college or whatever they're going off to go do. And that has to be a little bittersweet where you're proud of them that they're moving on, but also that's the last time they're playing for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, first, the senior class, we're obviously going to miss them. They did a great job for us. And really, what I always try and at least pass along to the boys, and I think a lot of them take this to heart, is obviously we wish them luck. We want them to be successful. We're always rooting for them, but they always have a place back at EP High School and with the football program, a place to lean on if they need something, but also a place to come back and just say hello and hang out. And we're excited to see all the great things that they're going to do. And, we thank them for all the effort that they gave our program over the past 4 years.
That's awesome. Coach Ram, I got to tell you, it's now, I think, your third year doing this on the EP podcast. I feel very fortunate that you come in here and you chat with us and you tell everybody in Evergreen Park what's going on with the team. It's really fun to follow them. I wish you would have made the postseason because we wouldn't be doing our last show together. Yeah. But don't be a stranger in the off season. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next year and running into you around town.
Yeah, appreciate it very much. Thanks for all your support for EP High School as well as our football team. And thank you again for a great season.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.